um, start the manifestation process. Anything that you take from your head and put it on pages.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. But good. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else on that?
Peace, instructor.
Yes, peace.
Yeah, I wanted to reiterate about the power to draw. Like when you write things down, it's actually drawing things into reality.
Yes.
So drawing is what you do when you draw on a page, but it has another meaning of drawing something to you. So it's pulling the imagination into the real world, or your vision into reality. And
Yeah.
another related word is drafting or
Yeah.
draft,
Yes.
which means any of various stages in development of a plan. It
Mm-hmm.
also means to create by thinking and writing.
Mm-hmm.
So drafting is a very important thing. So like when you first start writing, I know like in basic writing class, you usually do like an outline and then a first draft, second draft, third draft, until you get to the final draft, which is the finished piece.
Right.
And so I just wanted to throw this in there as it relates to the process of drafting, drawing, writing is an iterative process of bringing your thoughts and imagination into the real world. So that's why it's so important to write down your goals, your ideas, your plans for success in the future, things like that.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Good. Good. You guys are remembering. And also, writing brings a singular point of focus on whatever it is that you are uh, bringing into manifestation. You're putting that singular focus on whatever that is that you're writing about. And that's why I always encourage you guys, take notes, write this down, journal about your experiences at the dojo. Also journal about what you're working on accomplishing. Very, very, very important practices, crucial. And again, this is backed by brain research. So it's not like, oh, this is just some empty stuff that you do. This is all for real. Okay. So thank you guys for sharing. So let's move on into this part of the presentation. Now, if you noted that I often refer to the matrix, at the beginning, and here um, I'm also referring to the matrix, and in the know thyself. This is intentional. Neo and being the one. Uh, could someone talk to me about the purpose of Morpheus in the movie, and I'll connect it later, and the Oracle? And see, first you have to see that movie. If you haven't seen it, you should get some lashes for that. You should actually get some lashes for that. This is a must-see movie. You gotta see this movie. Um, and for those of you who haven't seen it, you gotta see it. Just look at the first one first, because it's a trilogy. The first one is the best one in my opinion. But for those of you who have seen it, talk to me about Morpheus' purpose and the Oracle's purpose. Anybody can share out.
The purpose of Morpheus was for Neo to um, be his mirror. He was to get him. He served the purpose as an instructor for him to see himself. He allowed him to express him.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Morpheus' purpose. So I got one.
Instructor, first of all, good evening.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Of the illusion of the
Yeah,
matrix.
to me, I think Morpheus' road to Neo was John the Baptist's road to Jesus. Everybody thought that John the Baptist was a man, like the people thought that Morpheus was the man until Neo came around and Morpheus basically told him, "No, I'm not the man. I'm not worthy to either be in this man's place. I'm here to show this man who he is." And so he basically, so Morpheus basically paid the way for Neo, and the article is to me would be representation of God or Jesus' higher self, and that she know who he is before he found out who he was, because the Son of God.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. I mean, if I could put it in that kind of metaphoric way.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. It was Morpheus's job to wake Neo up.
Okay.
And then once he woke him up to who he was consciously, then he progressed and by asking him questions about who he was and helping him to see the truth of who he was.
Oh, okay.
The Oracle served a similar function, but in a different way. She was they went to her for sight, her foresight, her ability to see into the future, and to figure out what to do. And the Oracle directed Neo to himself, like basically you already know the answer. The answer is already inside you. Look there.
Right.
So she also helped to alter Neo's vision once he became conscious.
Good. Okay, cool. We got some good answers. Good. Thank you. If you have not seen that movie, don't admit to it. Just go see it. I mean, just get it. You should be able to see it anywhere now. It's been out for a while. I wouldn't admit that I didn't see it. Anybody else?
Instructor, if I may.
Yes.
Based on, relating it to kind of what we're talking about here,
Right.
Morpheus, I've seen the movie probably 10 times.
Yes.
Morpheus was the example of walking in purpose and like speaking it out loud and not and and allowing that vision for yourself to like true power of mind. The example of it's all in your mind, the example of if I see it in my mind, me jumping from here to here, it's gonna happen, and somewhat similar to what Hero said, the Oracle was, yes, she had sight. However, one thing that she did for him, and probably Morpheus as well, was challenge their belief in themselves. Because she, you're not the one, you know what I mean? Which forced him to see himself as the one, you know what I mean? And because of Morpheus's vision for him, because he believed so much in what he believed in, he also caused Neo to believe in himself, even though the Oracle challenged him to potentially doubt himself that he might not be the one. You know what I mean? So it was, I digress.
Yeah, that was good. That was good because it is important to. I'm glad you brought that point out, the challenge, because that's going to play a part. Hopefully, this comes out in the rest of the presentation. So I don't want to. You almost tipped it, but hopefully it'll come out the way that you said it. But one thing I want to offer here, I like playing around with these things, so y'all got to bear with me.
Can I say something, Instructor Vaughn?
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
I feel like the oracle is like your subconscious.
Okay.
Say, for instance, when I sit down and meditate to get an answer, or I'm looking for something, and that subconscious comes to you, it gives you some information. It doesn't give you the answer, but you have to take what you get and utilize that to get the answer that you're looking for.
Okay. So it doesn't give you the whole answer, but it gives
Right.
you enough
Right.
to like put you in motion.
Right.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, good point. Thank you. Anybody else?
And she working on part 4, Matrix 4. I read the book.
Oh, yes. And that's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. That's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. So, I'm going to be in the front row or wherever it comes out. I'm going to be streaming it, however they do it. So, yes, thank you for that. So, I want to go back to a statement that when Morpheus first interacted with Neo and gave him a choice between 2 pills. You get the red pill or the blue pill. And then Neo went through these changes and he was in this room and Morpheus made this statement. Could someone read that for me, please?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. In his definition, reality, real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
What do you think about that?
Are instructors allowed to chime in right now, instructor?
Yeah, go ahead. What are your thoughts about that statement there?
Well, I think Morpheus is speaking to how we perceive reality based on the 5 senses, the lower 5 senses, when we, as opposed to the highest sense. But I think he's talking about how, the brain is that which allows us to physically interact with this plane that we all are existing in right now. So if we all step outside, we can all feel the wind, we can see the moonlight if you can, etc. So this construct, the brain is that, link that allows us to perceive all these things on this plane and beyond, obviously. So I think that in this statement, Morpheus is saying, if you believe that, the world, is all that is, this construct, and he actually literally named the senses based on those senses, then, he's attempting to illustrate that that's a mistake, that there's more to reality. In fact, the greater part of reality is on the other side of these senses.
Right, good. Thank you for that. Any other thoughts on this statement?
Instructor Keith actually touched on it in class on Saturday afternoon when he spoke about divine consciousness, and he asked, what is the world made up of? Divine consciousness. And it's hitting on how we perceive the world, the idea of the idea of, or the world being how we perceive it through the lens of ego and Morpheus is touching on perception in this statement. Instructor Keith spoke on that. He touched on that after the meditation and training Saturday afternoon. So this is deep how it all ties together in a very poetic way.
Yeah, it is. Aisha, you had something?
Oh yeah, I was just kind of focused on that word, like interpreted by your brain, or
Right.
that part, because like I think some of us, even though it could be factual or not, we all have certain things that we interpret to be real or not real according to our own self, and our own experiences and our own things. And I like, the only example that's coming to my mind right now is when you're a kid, you're told these people or these things are real, and you believe they're real because in your mind they're real, but in like your parents or your older siblings' mind, they know that it's not real, but you couldn't tell me that it's not real because I was believing it.
Right. Right. Like Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, like Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, or like if you do certain stuff, then this is gonna happen, and you would just do it just because you was like, oh, I know it's gonna happen. I know it's gonna happen. But our parents and our siblings and different people had different experience with reality, so they knew that that wasn't real. Like fear, like we always, like when you're a kid, you're not really scared of anything. But then when you can become an adult and you know what that thing can do, then you become scared of it because your reality is like not the same anymore.
Right. Right. So that false evidence appearing real becomes real to you, and it will actually stop you from doing what you wouldn't have even questioned as a child. Okay, good, good. Anybody else on this statement that Morpheus is offering up here to Neo as he pulls him out of the matrix? Yeah, and see, this is going to well, I'll just let it unfold. Okay, so now let's talk about the next statement. Okay, could somebody read that for me, please?
Neo, who? The Oracle, not too bright though. You know why Morpheus brought you to see me? Neo, I think so. The Oracle, so what do you think? Do you think you're the one? Neo, I don't know. The Oracle, you know what that means? It's Latin, means know thyself. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love.
What does that mean?
It is both a feeling and a decision. There's the cognitive part of love, of being in love, and then there is the feelings, or the feeling or feelings that are connected to being in love. And so the Oracle here is telling Neo that he has not decided, he has not made a decision that he is the one, and he doesn't feel like he is the one.
Okay. Anybody else on this statement?
I have a thought.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's Gigi.
Gigi.
I feel like being in love means you're connected to all your relatives. Like you will understand you're a part of the universe that's connected to everyone. And being the one, like the fact that he is doubting it, I think being the one does take a certain level of humility, of understanding your interconnections with all living beings. And that is love.
Go ahead, Gigi. All right. Anybody else? That was good. Knowing thyself and being in love. Come on, give me some more thoughts on that.
Shouldn't start this. This is Marquise.
All right, Marquise, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it short, but I believe that it's a sense of freedom.
Okay.
And that's where she was going at, because when you when you're in love, the body moves on its own. You express yourself freely to the person that you love. You're not thinking about any actions or consequences. You're just going all out. So that's what I believe being the one is, because I'm dealing with the matrix. Neo is the only one that's free to that program where he's able to access everything thoroughly. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay, so you're saying that, if I'm hearing you correctly, is knowing thyself and being in love is to express a certain amount of freedom.
Yes.
Where you have access to all of the tools that the universe has to offer.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to see if I could capture what it is that you were saying to me. Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Very good. Very good. See, okay, we started to get this party started. This is good stuff. All right, give me some more.
Being the one is an inside job. Only you know that it's there. Like, everybody can see a person is good at something. They in the movie, everybody can see Neo had the gifts, the talents, the speed, and they told him, "You're the one. We think you're the one. We see you the one. You're showing and proving." And he still didn't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. And it's like love, though. Nobody can tell you you're in love. You do know. It's something that comes from inside. That's what I think she was pointing to, that knowing yourself is knowing that you from the inside get to make that decision. You feel it. You know you're the one. You know you in love. You know how you feel. Nobody else knows how you feel. People can see your actions and see your potential, but nobody can tell you who you are ultimately.
Okay. All right. Now let me ask you this question. What was Neo's name in the Matrix? It's a little trivia. What was his name in the Matrix?
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah. Thomas Anderson.
Thomas Anderson, yeah.
Doubting Thomas. Thomas Anderson. So that's why he was living true to his, the doubting Thomas through, through a good part of the movie, and convincing him of who he was, so he can have access to all. And just like you said, it's inside. This is a work from the inside out. So that was perfect. Thank you. So I want to start there because I think that's a perfect place to start, to where Hero said that this is a work from the inside out. So I want to share this this fact. I want, could someone read that one in the orange? Read that orange piece for me, please. Someone, anyone.
Every time we think, especially when it is consistent thought, it creates a hardwired file in your brain. It becomes a habit, a way of thinking or behavior for you.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Good. Can you read the other for me, please? Can you see that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I made a mistake and muted myself.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Can you read that? Can you see it?
You want to read the area where it says pathways?
Yes.
Neural pathways connect relatively distant areas of the brain or nervous system. Each pathway is associated with a particular action or behavior. Strong pathway. Every time we think, feel, or do something, we strengthen the pathway. Habits are well-traveled pathways. Our brain, excuse me, our brain finds these things easy to do.
Keep going.
Neuroplasticity. New thoughts and skills carve out new pathways. Repetitions and practice strengthen these pathways, forming new habits. Old pathways get used less and weaken. With repeated and direct attention towards a desired change, we all have the ability to rewire our brains.
What do you think about that?
I think that that is basically saying that we're in control of our thinking. We're in control. We can rewire our brains. We can control our thoughts. And once we do that, excuse me, we can make it a habit.
I mean, this was not even thought of some years ago. They thought once upon a time that whatever was in your brain, that was it. There was no way you can change it. There was no way you could alter it. What you were born with was what you're born with, and there's no way that you can change that. But now with this new, this research is not new, but it's emerging research, is saying that that is totally not true. You can actually rewire your brain in the way that you perceive or are going about your charge in this construct, on Earth. You can actually change the way that you're doing that. Any other thoughts on this slide?
Instructor, if I may.
Yes, please.
It's interesting, exactly what you said, and we get so upset with the educational system, and we place blame on systematic planning, etc. But when you think about what we actually knew when the educational system was established, and even up until recently, just now, it kind of changed my thought process on the system. Yes, the system is all jacked up. Yes, it is a systematic way that they are screwing our children over. However, when you look back at there was an early childhood theorist by the name of Piaget that theorized exactly what you just said, that children learn things stair stacked. And once they miss a stair, they have missed that stair, and there's no way, and they will always be, behind in terms of development. And, that thinking, then leads to, the system in which we see today, where they only give us so much, and then they push us through, once they feel that we can't, absorb the material, we can't regurgitate what it is that they shovel into us, they just push us through. And it's like, there was another theorist by the name of Lev Vygotsky, and his theory was that we learn based upon our experiences, right? It was a historical, almost ancestral way of learning, that as we experience new things, we learn new things. And his theory is like, I don't want to say it was shamed, but it was like, that's bull, you know what I mean? And this Piaget theory was more, as well as the Montessori system and all that other stuff. But it was just that it changed my thought process on the system slightly, but not entirely. But I appreciate what you just said. Anyway.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing, man. Good, thank you. Any other thoughts on this? Yeah, because, this is like what we're embarking on now is something that is not heavily talked about or encouraged for you to talk about or discern or think about. And we're gonna talk about why, as this develops. So I don't want to let go too much, but yeah.
Peace, instructor.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, may I?
Go ahead.
About the pathways, I wanted to share that something interesting to do is like the science fiction movies that talk about teleportation, light travel, hyperspace. When you apply those things to the pathways of the brain, it starts getting a lot more interesting than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because those pathways in the brain, the habits that we create, those are built up over time.
Yes.
And so you're talking about the experience of time and space in your mind. And so there are some ideas that you can make a teleportation, if you will, or a quantum leap, they call it,
Mm-hmm.
from one place to another, and you're automatically there. Yes. Some things you have to redo the pathways, or you have to forge a new pathway, and it takes time. The quantum leap is you can get there quicker, faster, instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just something interesting to think about with that science fictional type language, applying that to the pathways in the brain. It could help you make some quantum leaps in your mind from one idea to the next.
Yeah, because they're really talking about you, right?
That's what they talking about. That's what they talking about. How to get from one place to another, from one area of consciousness to another. Those are different planes of existence. Everything that we've been going through in the classes when we're talking about the chakras, each chakra represents its own plane of existence, right. Its own sensory input, its own dimension, if you will. And we can travel between those. A lot of times we do it involuntarily as we're practicing the meditations and the mantras, where what you all have been teaching us is how to travel those dimensions with purpose.
Yes.
And it becomes more and more evident every day I'm in the 36 chambers that's what you all are doing. And I, for one, am here for it. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what we're here to do. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Now, these are some questions that I had out. Which of the brain functions stands out to you and why? And when we were picking apart the anatomy of the brain, did we find the mind, right? And what do you know about the subconscious part of the mind? So any one of those questions is out there. Somebody talk to me.
Instructor.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. For me, the information is you are continuing to do what the other lectors have done for us in allowing us to connect in as simple terminology and as direct communication as possible with what have been known as mysteries about man's existence on planet Earth in connection to consciousness. And you're giving me, the information is giving to me almost tangible tools, as tangible as the intangible can be, tangible tools to really tap in. And I'm seeing glimpses of it, of the mind, and the brain giving me access to the universal mind. One of your questions is, where is the mind? The mind is outside of the physical construct, within man and beyond man. So mind is in a metaphysical space, period, not within the body. What do you know about the subconscious mind? The subconscious mind is programmed by conscious thought. The more we toil in conscious thought, add to it, writing it down, making it plain, drafting it, revising it. As we do that, that programs the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind does the work for us in meditative state, in slumber state. The subconscious mind is constantly working in the mind, the universal mind, to organize and attract that which we envision and have written down, proclaimed, and then go about doing the work to manifest. And then which of the brain functions stands out to you and why? The whole concept, the reality that the creators created in us such a mechanism as the brain that has been proven to control our affairs, like you talked about last week with regard to 9 months, or it's really 40 weeks of gestation. So that's actually closer to 10 months. And that the brain, by the spine, the spinal cord coordination in the brain be first before the flesh is really wrapped around it. So the fact that the Most High created us as this in such a way and equipped us with that antenna, satellite, supercomputer, that's what I think about it. So the whole process of it is what stands out to me the most, and why is that the Most High set us up. And I'm leaving right there.
Yes, sir. Good. Thank you for sharing.
Instructor?
Yes.
Did you want more?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I always want more.
So I'll start with number one. Which of the brain functions stand out to you and why? I believe the visualization function of the brain stands out to me the most.
Okay.
Because you can either visualize your success or visualize your destruction.
Yeah.
You can either visualize the things that you love or visualize the things that you fear.
Mm-hmm.
You can either visualize, visualization can bring about the desires of your ancestors. Visualization can bring about the desires of the Most High. Visualization it brings about everything or nothing. And then where is the mind? When you brought this slide up, I actually started giggling a little bit. You should, anyway, I'm not gonna talk about my giggle, but I think I made mention of this in the first week. I was speaking with a cousin of mine, and he just DPD, and he just finished his master's degree in psychology, and he talks about rapid eye movement and how the brain actually functions. And I may mention that scientific evidence that the mind is not actually connected to the brain. The thought causes the brain to move, but they can't identify where thought actually comes from or where the mind actually is or it exists. So very similar to what Instructor Aku just said in terms of the metaphysical, it exists within the metaphysical, it exists within spirit. And then what do you know about the subconscious? Very similar. We programmed our subconscious with our conscious mind, with our thought. And as we're awake, what we think is programming our subconscious. And as we sleep, our subconscious is programming our conscious, so that when we wake, we continue to think what we've been thinking, so that when we sleep, our brain, our subconscious is therefore continuing to program what we've been thinking all day. Again, going back to what we just talked about in the what we talked about last week, what you think you are, watch what you I think it was watch what you say, and just the creation of just thinking you are the one, right? Just knowing you're the one. And you sleep. When you sleep, you dream about being the one. When you wake up, you talk about being the one. When you sleep, you dream about it. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah, I digress.
Good.
I was just gonna add that, so I was thinking about in terms of like in my classes that I was studying and what I'm studying now, we were talking about how music is something that doesn't really exactly need permission to enter the mind. It doesn't need permission to come into your thoughts. So like if you're ever in the mall around like Christmas time and you leave and you just know a song, but you never heard the song before, it subconsciously like entered your mind. So that's one thing about subconscious that I think about is like most of the times when we're younger, we learn songs to remember things or we hear sounds. And I remember my mom always telling us like because we all play sports, she was saying, watch your diet, but she was telling us like not just what we were eating, just who we were around when we were playing and stuff like that, because who we were around like had a like she was like basically that's what you're consuming. So she will always just say watch your diet. So like I think that like subconsciously like what you surround yourself with, you don't always have control. You have control over what you like internalize, but you don't have control over what you hear and what a lot of things that just come in your mind. So you have to be very careful around different energies and like music, even music and like sounds and what people are saying around you, because you hear some things, because there's a lot of things you hear and you think you haven't heard it, or you read and you can just look at a page sometimes and you can grasp information from it. So your subconscious picks up like a lot.
Aisha, you all into part 4 of my presentation. You all just all in there. That's good stuff. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Good. Let me go back. Okay. So the reticular activating system. I think I mentioned this before. Our ancestors refer to this particular section of the brain as the eye of Ra. One being because it lends itself to self-perception, and it also helps conscious put together the internal world. It helps formulate what is in the subconscious. This part of the brain here called the reticular activating system is a key part of that. Could someone read that this particular slide for me, please?
Your subconscious does not know the difference between truth and fiction. This is why it is very important to filter the things that you expose yourself to, the shows you watch, the music you listen to, the people you look up to. All of these things have an influence on your subconscious mind and the way it is programmed. Expose, I can't see what's beneath that.
Yeah, because the rest of it cut off, but you read the most important part of it. And it's exactly what Aisha was saying, that her mother was saying, watch your diet, watch who you hang around, watch what you listen to, the shows that you watch, the music that you listen to, the people that are in your life. All of those things have a profound impact and effect on the subconscious part of your mind. Hero, do you have any other thoughts about this particular slide in that you read?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Man, the subconscious is so vast. I often visualize it as just a vast ocean, and there's everything is in there. Monsters, mermaids,
yes,
everything is in there. It's good stuff and bad, but it is this slide is stating is so important. It is of paramount importance to guard your mind, guard your thinking. I don't think there's a spiritual tradition that I found that does not have an admonition to guard your mind.
Yes.
The reason being not just is there's everyday life and everyday habits that get into your subconscious mind that you don't have anything to do with and you're not even aware of on a conscious level.
Right.
But the secrets, some of the secrets of our most secret societies were how to influence the mind subliminally beneath the level of consciousness, which had to do with the use of colors, sounds, smells, sights. Okay, and they use that science in, for instance, marketing and advertising. I learned all this stuff. I learned the spiritual stuff actually as a jump off from being a graphic designer and studying how, when I study how to put together ads, they tell you how to use colors to attack a person's sense of feeling hunger. How do I make a person feel hungry with color? I flash red in front of them. Red, for some reason, is associated with appetite.
Yes.
So I'll use that that's why Burger King has red logo, red, orange. Orange is also another big color. Use colors that are associated with hunger, appetite, and sex. And I can say all kinds of things to you subliminally that you don't even know I'm saying, just by showing you my logo, just by showing you my commercial. That's why it's like the media is so insidious, because you don't think that it's affecting you in a negative way. Consciously, you think something completely different. You're like, wow, that's funny. Wow, that looks good. Wow, I'd like to have one. But little do you know that there's things that were put in, they were pre-planned and put in before you even got there to consume it. And when you see it, it's like a time bomb goes off in your mind. It goes off in your emotions, your chakras. Your subconscious mind is going crazy, and you have no idea why you feel anxious, why you feel angry, why you want to call your doctor because you feel sick, why you want to ask your doctor if Pfizer is the right one for you. Why there's so many things that get into your subconscious mind. One thing that helps people see it real clear is if they win the lotto and they want to start buying stuff out the blue. You just start buying stuff. That's all the stuff that was in your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
All that stuff starts coming out. So, and somebody put it in there. Yeah. And it's a lot of somebody's. It's not like this is like a monolithic thing, or they, if you want to know who they are, we are under constant attack by everyone to get into your mind and control it.
Absolutely.
So
good stuff. Good stuff. Anybody else? This is a powerful slide. Go ahead. Somebody tell me something.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you speak on the subconsciousness, you know, I had to think about me in this situation where,
Jeremiah, are you speaking? Can't hear you.
yeah, I'm still here. I just I put the headphones on. I thought, okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So like since I stopped drinking, like now everything is sugar. Like, I mean, it's like ridiculously, like, it's like sugar is everything for me right now. And like he was saying, how the subconscious is, you know, is programmed. So, you know, as you know, alcoholic, you know, we think it's the alcohol that you're wanting. It's like, nah, it's the sugar that you're after. And it's in the form of the alcohol. So I'm still trying to fulfill that need of that sugar on the subconscious level, and I am conscious of it, so I can respond to it differently.
Right.
But being unconscious of it will be, you know, basically overtaken by the subconscious, because the subconscious wants that sugar. And if I allow it to just have what it wants, I don't always win, but if I allow it to have what it wants, you know, I kind of lose in that situation, because now I have to reprogram my subconscious to not desire sugar. So now I'm at a, you know, I quit drinking. It's like, yay, great, you quit drinking. But now I'm in a whole nother battle, right? So now this a whole nother battlefield right here. Right. So, you know, now, you know, you move one thing and now you got something else on it. But it's all about a conscious response to a subconscious desire. And what I've come to understand in like meditation and things like that, that a lot of times we go into desiring things and we go into wanting things. And I've gotten to a place where I had to stop and ask myself, where is this coming from? You know, is this desire coming from an outside source? Is this desire based on a need? Is this just a want? Where is this coming from? And a lot of the times just stopping in examining that desire alleviates a lot of stress, a lot of, you know, things that can happen based off of desire for something that I necessarily don't even want. So, you know, me being aware of that is me being aware of the programming. So me being aware of the programming, I can be vigilant in controlling my actions, you know, as far as the programming goes.
Right. You can. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Love the subject. Just love it.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Now, earlier I asked the question, where is the mind and the brain? And the reason that this came up, and it was just when Instructor Aku always talks about the brain being the supercomputer and this, that, and the other. So I started to study that and what actual people were actually saying about the brain, and their analysis on what the brain is and where the mind is. And I would like someone to read this particular part that someone offered that the brain is actually an antenna rather than a computer. So could someone read that for me, please?
Where is the mind in the brain? In the Mind Masters article, Eric Holloway, 2019, offered films analysis, on the brain. Oh, FLIMS analysis, not film, FLIMS analysis on the brain. In that the mind could not be located in the brain, he questioned what the brain could be. If the brain didn't contain the mind, then what else could the brain be? He offered that the brain could be an antenna that picked up signals. Flem's analogy was in line with the thinking of neuroscientists. There were others that offered that the brain works more like a radio receiver. Wrong there, okay?
Yeah, it's the wrong there, my bad.
Okay. Okay, there were others that offered that the brain works more like a radio receiver. Radboud University, I'm gonna tear that one up. Nijimijin, 2014. Can I get that one more time, please? Would you mind? Are we going to a next slide? Can I read this again, please, instructor? Because
yeah, go ahead.
That was not read well. That just tore me up.
Nah, I put that wrong there and there, threw everything off. Go ahead.
We ain't gonna blame it on one word, brother. Let me take some stuff though. Blame it on me. Where is the mind in the brain is the question. In the Mind Masters article, Eric Holloway offered Flem's analysis on the brain. Okay, whoever Flem is. In that the mind could not be located in the brain, he questioned what the brain could be. If the brain didn't contain the mind, then what else could the brain be? He offered that the brain could be an antenna that picked up signals. Flem's analogy was in line with the thinking of neuroscientists. There were others that offered that the brain works more like a radio receiver. Okay, according to Radboud University, Nijimejin, 2014. Okay. All right. So either the brain was like a radio station or an antenna. Like a receiver or an antenna. Okay.
So get this one, instructor. Cool.
Okay. Proof of magnetic antennas in the brain. Study by Dr. Joseph Kirchwinick, California University of Technology. Okay. Let's see here. Found evidence of 5 million magnetite crystals per gram of brain cell. 5 million magnetite crystals per gram of brain cell. Okay. 100 million magnetite crystals per gram of cerebral cortex. Okay, 100 million magatites. I got to understand what that is. That's going to be broken down for me, instructor. But going forward, magnetite crystals can sense very weak signals and react to them. Okay, magnetite, and that's the chemistry on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, reacts over 1 million times more sensitive to an external magnetic field than any other biological matter. My God. Magnetite reacts over 1 million times more sensitive to an external magnetic field than any other biological matter. God Almighty. This means that external magnetite fields directly influence the brain. This could affect and disturb many functions of our metabolism.
Okay. So what this is saying is that this particular researcher found that there are magnetic crystals in the brain, or you call magnetite crystals in the brain. And these crystals in the brain can actually pick up signals, which he's offering that the brain is not a computer, it's an antenna that picks up signals and respond, and our body responds to the signals that that are being picked up. Now, these crystals can be disturbed by other magnetic fields that could have an adverse effect on our metabolism. Now, that's why they always say when you move into a property, make sure you don't move into a property that you have a heavy, you know, those giant antennas that those electrical antennas. He said, don't move or don't live near giant electrical antennas because they have this electronic field that radiates and that could disturb these crystals in your brain. So it's best not to live near large external magnetic fields because they have an adverse effect on your brain.
Instructor, if I may.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Those, if anyone's ever rolled down 8 Mile, if anybody's ever taken road trips, those electrical lines, they're called transmission lines.
Yes.
You should not live within 1,000 feet of those lines because, like any electrical current, it produces a magnetic field, and those magnetic fields are the magnetic fields that they're talking about. The substations, these the giant fields. There's one. There is one off of 8 Mile, actually, between Evergreen and Southfield, next door to the CVS. Those are called switch yards. Switch yards are very similar to distribution lines. Distribution lines actually feed the switch yard. The switch yard actually feeds smaller substations, and then the substations feed residential areas. But those yards, as well as those large transmission lines, especially the really, really large ones, like if you're going down I-75, going south down I-75 towards Trenton Channel, towards Fermi Nuclear, those large lines are transmission lines, and they also, all of those places produce very, very large electromagnetic fields, which I would recommend that no one buy any property within 1,000 feet of those lines or those yards. I digress.
Yes, very good. And those are exactly the fields that are being talked about in this particular research that he's talking about. This particular body of research. So he offers that just in looking at the brain and the research on the brain, these magnetic crystals that receive signals. And these signals, if these signals are free, undisturbed by diet and or external magnetic fields, again, they are very sensitive and can pick up weak signals and react to them. So now, I think we've talked about this before, and I'll put it out there when you talk about people who are telepathic. They have an exorbitant amount of these crystals, and they can pick up on other signals, and they start responding to these signals that their minds pick up. So it's not a coincidence that the brain, as alluded to earlier by Hero, I think Hero said this, is under constant attack. It's under constant attack and assault for a reason, because those scientists that are actually studying us know what is there and know what the capabilities are. Most of us don't know. And we are bound by what we don't know. So a part of this is to ring that bell and say, hey, there's something out there that you don't know about yourself that you need to kind of like dig into. And that's why I'm offering these researchers by name so that you can look further into this to really know yourself and know what you have the capability of doing. Could someone get this one for me? This is another researcher here that had a different frame of thought. Could someone get this for me, please?
Fisher, 2016, offered that the brain worked more like a quantum computer because it operates like a biochemical and bioelectrical system. Fisher's notion fits into the emerging field of quantum neuroscience or quantum neuroscience.
Yeah, my bad. I got excited and I had to run it twice.
Right.
But Fisher is a quantum researcher, and it's interesting on how he came about with this hypothesis that the brain is more like a quantum computer. And again, I leave his name here in the body, so you can look more into it if you're interested to learn what he means by quantum a computer and how the brain works like a quantum computer. And just as instructor Cedric said, that once you start doing this, it's just so much out there about this stuff that you struggle on what to put in and what to leave out. So it's like it's so much out here on this stuff. And I just wanted to put together a bits of information that you guys could take and explore it even further, especially in unfolding what your powers actually are, because again, you don't even know. You don't even know how powerful you are, but you will. That's our charge, is to let you know that you are the one, for real. Could someone get this one for me, please?
In neuroscience, oh, go ahead, Teresa.
In neuroscience, quantum brain dynamics is a hypothesis to explain the function of the brain within the framework of quantum field theory. Harold Atmanspacher has offered this theory to help us understand the brain and consciousness.
Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you. And before I get into this, now the last couple of slides that were shared that talked about the brain as an antenna, about the brain as a quantum computer, as referred to here by two researchers, or both. In that there, and I didn't put this in here, but there's a reason that these thoughts of what the brain is and actually how the brain works is because And Brown University, they're actually working on a man-made brain that can actually be installed in a human and actually function. That's what they're working on now. I think they have, it's my thought that they have one ready if they haven't already done it yet. So you may have run into someone that has a man-made brain. That may be a reality that has already happened. So that's just why it's all this thought about the brain being an antenna, the brain being a computer, the brain being both, because the scientists are in the laboratories making this. They are actually constructing this now as we speak. So that's why it's a lot of research and work on the brain. And like I said, I've been doing this for some years now and following it. This is fascinating to me. So I want now the next phase is going into subconscious, because I know we pricked we already have discerned that the mind is not in the brain, because we clicked that out, and talking about pieces of the brain and parts of the brain did not find the mind. And now we're talking about parts of the mind. So here, I want to offer this. The subconscious is 90 to 95% responsible for your behavior. So there is, your conscious mind is only 10% involved in your actual behavior. I think as Hero said earlier, that there is so much in the subconscious mind that you don't even know what's in there. Aisha said that the music doesn't need permission by the conscious mind to actually enter. It can actually go into your mind, you consume it, and it go right past a filter, right? And in 90 to 95% of your behavior is coming from your subconscious mind, and you don't even know what's in there. So can someone read this for me? I didn't take down all of them, but I took down enough of them. Could somebody read this about the subconscious mind?
It records everything, always alert and awake. It controls 95% of our lives. It is built on habituation. It speaks to you in dreams. It has no verbal language. It takes everything literally. It can do trillions of things at once. It's not logical. It's the feeling mind. It is 1 million times more powerful than
the conscious mind.
The conscious mind.
That's the rest of it. So I cut that part off, but this lets you know how powerful the subconscious mind is. Most of us are operating, or most people that I have done these presentations with, they are under the impression that the conscious mind controls the behavior, when actually the opposite is true. The conscious mind does not control the behavior. It's the subconscious mind that controls 90 to 95% of how you act.
Instructor, so does the conscious mind control what you think if it doesn't control your behavior?
If you read that slide, Kenyatta. Read that one. It'll tell you. Go ahead, read that. Kenyatta.
But loses out to the subconscious mind.
No. Okay, all right, here we go. I thought I hit the mute. Okay, willpower. The conscious mind tries to use willpower to control behaviors, habits, and beliefs, but loses out to the subconscious mind's greater influence. Subconscious mind. Go continue. Okay. Subconscious mind, 90%.
Yes.
Relates to or deals with beliefs, creativity, developmental stages, emotions and feelings, habits and addictions, imagination, intuition, and I can't quite get that last part right there.
Long-term memory.
Mm.
Yep. Long-term memory. Does that answer?
Sorta. I get that the conscious mind tries to do what the subconscious mind is really doing. But there must be a purpose for the conscious mind. So that's where that question came from.
Yeah. The reticular activating system, and you'll get more in this presentation. We'll explain more about that, where it acts as a filter to what actually your conscious mind gets. A lot of that, right? It doesn't get as much as you think it gets, but it gets some of it that kind of emerges in the conscious part of your mind. However, a large percentage of what comes through, as Aisha alluded to earlier, doesn't get blocked, but it goes in anyway. And the subconscious mind, it records everything, right? And it's always up. So those of us who have a habit of going to sleep with music on, with television on, your subconscious mind is always up and alert and taking in information as you are sleeping in delta, in that part of your consciousness. It doesn't necessarily have a verbal language. It takes everything literally. It can do trillions of things at once. So this is a part of your mind that you're not really aware of how powerful it is and how much of an impact that it has on your behavior. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we progress through this presentation. When I talk about, we're still talking about mantras, right? So a tool to actually get in on and really become a part of what happens in the subconscious mind. So we're still talking about that. However, there are a lot of things that you need to understand before we even get to that. So that's the premise of this, and that's why it always brings this into the forefront. Instructor Keith, what does my time look like?
17 minutes.
Okay. So this takes me into part 4. However, before we go into part 4, I want some thoughts on what has been dropped thus far, because it's a lot has been dropped just in the last couple of slides. I was wanting to get through part 3 tonight, finishing up part 3 tonight. But what stands out to you in part at the end of part 3? Any thoughts on the last couple of slides at the end of part 3, especially about the subconscious?
As a quantum physics nerd, the brain operating as a quantum, similarly to the way that theorists espouse quantum computing will work, is pretty fantastic.
It is.
Just knowing how quantum storage works, where it's not written on simply a surface, but it's inside, on the side, diagonally, you get so much information using quantum, quantum mechanics. And then it just kind of moved me back to what Hero was talking about as far as the interdimensional aspects of the mind itself, and how the brain as the organ facilitates this.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in seeing where you're going with this, but I also peeped what you are modeling with our intros of good news, as a mantra of brain programming. So it hit me today what you've been doing. So I salute and bow to you on that. That's pretty low key, sweet how you've been doing that.
Yes, sir. Always start with good news, brother.
Yeah, but to that mantra, going all the way back to the mantra point, it's just though all of it's tying together, starting to tie together very beautifully for me.
Thank you. I'm glad
you.
of that. Thank you. Anybody else?
Pete.
I have. Oh, that was
No,
it.
go ahead. No, go Queen. You go. Mhm.
Peace, everybody. Peace, instructors. Thank you for the lesson today. I'm very grateful for it. One of the things that stuck out to me the most is when you all were talking about how music has a influence. So, being mindful what you take in. I was reading something that about music, and music back in the day used to be recorded on a 432 hertz, and it started to change once hip hop and rap started to come into play. And I believe they started to record on a 440 hertz, and that type of frequency interacts with your brain. And some people that listen to a larger amount of rap that's recorded on like a 440 hertz, or I believe like anything kind of lower than that, I believe, or higher, it can cause anxiety. It can cause you to be angry. It causes you to muster up different emotions within your subconscious and in your emotional body. So just like you said, being mindful of those frequencies, you're not only listening to just music, you're bringing a frequency to your body and your brain. So just being mindful of that, of balancing certain things, and cleansing the mind with meditation, even if you like it. So yeah, that was something that stuck out to me.
Oh, thank you.
I was gonna say that, like, what I was kind of getting tonight is that, like, your subconscious is like stuff, things that you cannot really control, as far as what necessarily enters your mind in the background and the things you're around, but you can control where you go and the places you put yourself in and the things that you do, which those things around that enter the subconscious, like that would have an influence. Whereas if I put myself in different situations, if I put myself in different environments, or if I do things a certain way, of course we can't avoid like the media and some of the things we see in stores and things like that, but we can control like the little things, like what we surround in our homes, what we put in our homes, what we put like like the music, we can control that. So it's just being very intentional about like, or guarding like what we surround ourselves with.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to challenge that even more, Aisha, where, because you've said that more than once, but I'm going to push the envelope on you actually controlling what goes in your subconscious. That's going to be further in the presentation. So there are things that you have more control than you think. I'll just put it like that.
If I could add on to the sister, excuse me 1 second. Aya, please be quiet. I remember when I was studying Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and you know, he talks about this thing called auto suggestion, and I was like, I don't know if you all are reading this or what, but you know, one of our most powerful tools. I mean, you all are so heavy on us about what we say, you know. So what we say, and so that relates to mantras that we take on. But by repeating, you are literally programming your subconscious by repeating, whatever it is that you want to be, you know. And so so Napoleon Hill deals with that. And I don't know, instructor, because I don't know if you kind of dealt with that, but I know all of the instructors always are harping on what we say.
Always listening to what you say, brother. And for good reason.
So I don't know if you all are like, you know what, I'm going to have you program your own subconscious. I don't know if that's it. but
be
yeah,
patient, brother. Just be patient. It's coming.
All right. Salute. And I just wanted to say the last thing too, based on last week's presentation, just by looking at, you know, the different aspects of how information penetrates the brain, how we do have the ability to run interference. And so the instructor was giving us that, you know, so we just have to be a bit more aware of where the information, but we can close our eyes, we can open our eyes, we can read, we can close our ears, we could recite, you know, we could chant, you know, all of these are part of our ancestral tools, our natural technology that can help program that subconscious to being at our best selves. So I just wanted to say that, instructor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Instructor.
Yes.
Just as a final share, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the things that really stuck out to me with the 90 to 95% control was fear. Our conscious mind, I wrote it down. Fear is checked by the conscious mind, so to take pressure off of the subconscious. And it's one of the, for me, it's one of the biggest things, and has been one of the biggest things within my development over the last few years, to check fear at the door. You know what I mean? Yes. And then allow my subconscious to heal. You know, by mitigating certain types of music, drink, food, etc. But the biggest thing for me was checking fear with my subconscious and allowing everything else to kind of just fall into place. Also, I wanted to add in a note. I mentioned the electrical lines as well as the switch yards and substations. Yeah. However, every electrical device that we use, everything, lights, TV, telephone, computers, every single last thing emits an electromagnetic wave, everything. And they all have a field, whether it's small or big. So, you know, with that being said, because our brain is affected by electromagnetic fields, We have to truly, and I think this is why a lot of us push going outside and totally detaching from it all, because it all has an effect. Every single last thing. Every single last thing is vibrating at 60 hertz per second, at 60 times per second. Every single last thing, except for overseas, is 50 hertz. But that doesn't. It's all electrical. So just wanted to add that.
Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. Sleeping with computers in your room, sleeping with the phone. Some people sleep with the phone under your pillow, which is very dangerous. You know, just those are some things you need to guard against.
Instructor.
Yes.
May I share, or is there not time for instructors?
Go ahead. Yes. Instructors, please share.
Okay. Profound, brother. Absolutely masterful presentation. I love the way you draw on us. You pull us right into it. We're so used to being spectators, like you so often talk about. But this time around, we're not spectating. We have to participate, which is changing our learning on a subconscious level, is taking our learning to the deeper place. So thank you, brother.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Continue to prove yourself as the leader of our clan. Saying that just to say this in as few words as possible. We can delve into the brain like we can delve into any aspect of God's creation. You can delve into the blade of grass and get off into, photosynthesis and be mesmerized. So it's without question, you can dive into the brain, its multi-layered functions, its physical components, its control center areas, it's this, it's that, it's that. You can drown yourself in data, right? And you can get caught adrift on anybody's theory, because they're going to take you back to the point of what is true. So, and then as we get into quantum science and et cetera, you can just keep blowing your mind with God's creation.
Mm-hmm.
All it does is reinforce the bottom line reality, right? That ye are gods, children of the Most High God. Nothing in the known universe can do that which the human race can do. Period. So I say all that to say, let us take the tools. So you asked the question earlier, the conscious mind. Kenyatta asked the question. The conscious mind, and Aisha jumped all over it and beat it up. The conscious mind, we must take control of the conscious mind to be on purpose about what we put into the subconscious mind. Now that we have an overstanding of its, overwhelming influence. So you are giving us the tools to really simplify this most complicated of things, because now that we know, even down to the physical matter, to the areas within the brain where they reside, the control centers reside, now that we have this overstanding of the information, we are really in the driver's seat. And now we must be on purpose about what we expose ourselves to. We must be on purpose about maintaining enough time with it to create the right habits, and continue to reinforce that with our vision, writing it down, making it plain, meditating on that thing, and then putting our hands and our energy to the toil, and it will manifest, period. So I just want the most important part is, especially for people where this is new information, do not allow the information to drown you or make you feel confused. Like you have to do your study for sure, but you don't have to allow yourself to be sucked down any particular rabbit hole too deep when you want to stay and get a more they call it a 30,000 foot perspective, but even more galactic perspective on it. Just knowing that ye are gods, when you know yourself and you know that God made you and got you here on purpose, And then you got to get some insight into the magnificent machine that's this earth suit that we have for our spirit to travel in this space of time. When we pull the things together, we're able to absolutely make reality bend to our will. And as a collective, the world ain't seen it done before. So I thank you, instructor. I love you. I appreciate you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for your share. Thank you. Instructor Ghost, Instructor North.
Yes, sir. Peace and love, family.
Peace and love.
Sir. I don't have much tonight, man. I just got my popcorn out. Popcorn popping. Amazing stuff, brother. But what stood out to me tonight is what I just, I really love what Aisha has shared, about what her mom said about watch your diet, and what that means. And I'm going to steal that one. I'm really going to take that one, Aisha, if that's okay. But
yes,
when we watch our diet, fun fact, I don't recall if this was shared at any point, but the speed in which the subconscious processes information is 100,000 miles per hour versus the conscious mind at 150 miles per hour.
Yeah.
So we have to be efficient, but we have to efficiently gatekeep, what we take in and really monitor our diet, because while the conscious mind is analyzing, what we think we should allow to take in or not, the subconscious has already processed it. It's already in there, and the subconscious mind, it records everything. It's recorded, it's in there, it's done, until, you enable that method or means of rewiring. So that's all I have, brother. Love you.
Love you too, brother. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, sir.
Don't overlook Instructor Nate. He's here as well.
Instructor Nate, share out, brother.
Peace and love, family.
Peace.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Tonight's class was pretty impactful. Actually, the last part of it really spoke to me a lot about Instructor Bondre saying that we can actually control what comes into our subconscious mind and actually reprogram it, if you will. When I was born, I actually came out of the womb blue, and I suffered extreme brain damage as a result. So I honestly had to learn how to reprogram my total reality after that. And I didn't even realize what I was doing until later, and I got into training. So there's a practice that we have called Combat Eye, where you can bring your environment into you in a way that's beneficial, and you can move it and make it whatever you need to. So you can literally begin to program that subconscious, if you will. And then also a lot of that has to do with those magnetite crystals that you were talking about. And I actually have some magnetite crystals, and they form what they call polyhedrons, which is like a 6-sided pyramid. So that is literally like what's in our brain, is that perfect mathematical representation of our own individual being and the earth itself. I mean, the Pyramid of Giza is a perfect mathematical representation of this earth as well, when you start really looking at it. And some of the best minds in the world are the ones that have discovered this and shared it with us, and it is widely overlooked.
Yes, it is.
And actually, there's a practice you can do with magnets, and you can run them across the top of your brain, and that'll actually pull those crystals back up so they're not like down inside of that particular cerebral cortex. So you can actually begin to receive more signals and then begin to actually work therapy that way.
I didn't know that. Good stuff, Nate.
You
got, thank you.
You got to share that link, Instructor Nate.
Thank you, and thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna get me some magnets tomorrow.
Oh, and when you get, if you're gonna get some magnets too, make sure they're circular magnets.
Okay. Get me some magnets, some circular magnets tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Nate. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. Definitely a great presentation, great discussion, great dialogue. It definitely felt more like a conversation versus lecture, which is cool, to bring everybody in and to make sure that everybody is engaged, which is good,
Yes.
Definitely appreciate that. And, as we often talk about the brainwave state, when people are engaged, they are, more in a gamma type of, learning receptive state versus a beta where you just kind of sit back and, absorb the information. So just hitting those different brainwave states, I thought was definitely pretty cool. But outside of that, the information and the implications of the information, definitely cutting edge stuff, is new yet old at the same time. Us as African people, we have a concept called Sankofa, where you go back and a lot of this stuff that is just coming out now in modern science has already kind of been shared 4, 5, 6,000 years ago.
Yes.
And it's great that we are bringing it back out and reacquainting our people with it, and the people who need to know about it. And definitely appreciate this platform and this medium to be able to share this type of information, because if not, as they say, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? And all of this, all of these series, all of these classes and everything is really, really, really just about bringing people into the knowledge and awareness of who and what they really are, and ultimately giving each and every individual who's present, and people who watch the recordings or people who find themselves in the physical training, is about giving you the knowledge of how to use the power that is available. So in essence, giving you your power back, and not that you don't have it, you didn't have access to it. And this type of knowledge, these type of classes, and this type of training gives you access to that which is all around you. And it's some kind of saying that you can't see your nose despite the face, or something like that. It's the same exact thing. Like, power is infinite, it's available, it's right there for you to tap into it. But without the knowledge of the how to, it's just there dormant, waiting to be used. And these types of classes and this type of information allows you to regain that power and ultimately use it for good, which is our ultimate aim and goal. So again, thank you for this. Thank you for having us, and definitely appreciate everything that's shared tonight. And can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, thank you, instructor. And as you said at the top, or one of the instructors said, put you in the driver's seat. This definitely puts you in the driver's seat, where you don't have to be a passenger unless you want to. You want to drive, we're gonna give you the keys and the steering wheel. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot to understand before you just toss someone the keys. You know what I'm saying? Being an administrator in education, I'm aware that there are so many things that are not taught And I know the reason behind why it's not taught. And a part of the reason now is to kind of like, you know, unlock, unload, and really put out there what the so-called secrets are. As you stated earlier, instructor, our ancestors have put this out thousands of years ago. However, it's been hidden or, you know, put to the wayside to where we're focusing our attention on other things, focusing on trinkets when you can have the whole thing, you know. The point of this is to put you, the point of this presentation, and as all of our presentations, is to put you in the driver's seat. So thank you, instructor. Instructor said, Mighty said, you on?
He's not. He said that he was still at work, so he was going to catch the replay.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Well, we are at 10:10. If there is nothing else, I want to end it here, and we'll start part 4 next, in our next time. And again, my point tonight was to really get through part 3. And I wanted to get through part 4, but again, I don't want to rush. I think what you're getting is powerful. And by the time we get to actual formulating mantras, then all of these is going to make a lot of sense to you, and you're going to be empowered by it immediately. It's not going to take a long time, which we're going to talk about as well. So thank you. If there's nothing else, thank you guys for participating. Again, I'm going to pull on you all to participate. I like this to be a conversation and not a sit and get. But again, thank you all for participating, and I will see you. I'll see some of you tomorrow.
Peace and love. Thank you, instructor. Peace and
Okay.
love, family.
Thank you.
Thank you, instructor. I'm on vacay with the daughters, man, but I had to get up in this. I'm glad I did, man. Thank you.
Peace, family. Love y'all.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, family.
Peace.
Peace and love.
Peace out.
All right. Thank you.